So come to the 14th video, and I'm still going through the ratings of this boxing wrestling magazine from February 1965. These are the ratings of 1964, December, their ratings. But because there's so many of these boxing ratings, I'm going to mix it up with a little bit of wrestling knowledge. So it's show wrestling, but like I say, the great gamma there from India against Stanley Zbyszko. There was two Zbyszkos in history, but the other one was Vladek, but the main one's Stanislav Zbyszko. It's in Bombay, India. But yeah, these are what I call real wrestlers, all-in wrestlers. Obviously, you had the catch wrestling in Britain, etc. Obviously, this was called Kushti wrestling. So, but I think some of the matches he did had a lot of submissions in, but it was more about the Kushti wrestling. He had thousands of matches. The great gamma there. And again, a lot of these Pelwani wrestlers would swear themselves to celibacy. The training was that tough. I mean, the amount of dans and pathaks they do each day was ridiculous. These Indian exercises, crazy exercises. Yeah, so a little bit on gamma there. And like I say, it's good to remember, even though this show wrestling's in here, it did come from that golden era. Like I say, you'd always have what you call the shoot fighters. Even when they used to travel with circuses and have the show wrestling, they'd have what they call a shoot fighter in there, who was a real wrestler in case heckled from the crowd. And obviously there's a great history in this country. Mixes with boxing. William Muldoon was a world champion Greco-Roman wrestler, which is still in the Olympics today, Greco-Roman, and he trained John L. Sullivan, the bare-knuckle boxer, and like Martin Farmer Burns. But you had a lot of fighters going back. It's worth mentioning Martin Farmer Burns, who beat Ed the Strangler Lewis twice, and William Muldoon, the Greco-Roman guy, fought Ed Strangler Lewis also. Duncan C. Ross. There was Joe Delamy Acton, Edward C. Bibby, and they fought each other. Joe Delamy Acton beat Edwin C. Bibby. There's Max Baer there also. I'll go to him in a little bit, the boxer, but again, still going for this great golden history. Yusuf the Turk Ismail, who fought Evan the Strangler Lewis, and he managed to go to I don't think he beat him, but he managed to go to allocated distance, so he picked up the prize money. The story goes, with the gold he took, the ship sank and all the gold's at the bottom of the sea still. Ed the Strangler Lewis, good fighter obviously by the name, and Ernest Robber, the Greco-Roman guy, the golden era of wrestling, 1900s, early 1900s, etc. A little bit before that also, the end of the 1800s, Dan McLeod, who beat Martin Farmer Burns. He retired. Dan McLeod also beat Frank Gotch, who was a 22-year-old, young 22-year-old. There's the Frank Gotch toe hold named after him. It's like a toe crank. And also, yeah, Dan McLeod. Didn't tell him who he was when he wrestled with him. He was a champion, and he beat the young Frank Gotch, who used to wrestle army guys, grown army guys as a kid, after the American Civil War. And he obviously started work very early to support his family. Obviously he got a bit of strength there, but he was like big on pins really. He wasn't about big on pins and a bit of skill rather than using weight. He'd give away a bit of weight. And he challenged Martin Farmer Burns when he was retired at his gym and lost. But then his development happened and he became one of the greatest, or if not the greatest. He's talked about with Gamma, people like that. Frank Gotch had the world title, which was, this is real, not work stuff, real stuff. He beat Hackenschmidt twice with a toe hold, the Frank Gotch toe hold. Tom Jenkins was another one who actually beat Dan McLeod. He retired with leg, said his leg was poisoned. Or, you know, they're rolling around for yonks, so quite understandable. But Dan McLeod will get his revenge over Tom Jenkins. Yeah. And there's Max Baer there. Max Baer would referee some show wrestling matches. He was around, well, he beat 30s, you know, Joe Lewis's days, etc. He fought Joe Lewis. So did his brother fight Joe Lewis in the boxing. But yeah, back to Gamma, great fighter. Like I say, they have a tough training with thousands and thousands of Dans and Bethaks. These, it's a bit like a sort of cobra press up in a way, and squats, sort of Hindu squats. That's the way to explain them. Thousands of them, and he'd wrestle about 40 men a day. And again, pretty much a lifestyle really. They had a Swathi stick so that the trainers would go around and beat them if they weren't performing, etc. They'd have sort of statues to gods like Hermes, like the wrestlers would in general, no matter what country, but in India it might be Shiva, people like that, and they'd come in and pick up the sand and throw it. And yeah, it's quite a lot to it, quite a lifestyle to that style of wrestling. Kushti wrestling, the Pelwani wrestlers. Yeah, so just a little bit of history, where it will come from, etc. Just to mix up the boxing ratings that I got here. Had Frank Gotch, who lost to Tom Jenkins, then beat Jenkins in a rematch. Just a few different matches I'm thinking of. William Muldoon, John L. Sullivan, the bare knuckle fighters, coach later on in life, or conditioner, fought Ed the Strangler Lewis. Yeah, and like I say, Frank Gotch beat Hackenschmidt twice, George Hackenschmidt. Later on, yeah, Hackenschmidt draws with Gamma. This is Zbyszko, Stanley Zbyszko, but Hackenschmidt draws with Stanley Zbyszko. So I heard, and he lost by default. And that was in this country, I think, in Britain. Joe Sketcher would beat Charles Cutler. That was the sort of last of that era. And he wasn't regarded as the world champion. It was more when Hackenschmidt fought Gotch. So from different countries, it was classed as a world championship. It was a bit sort of varied, the history, just like old boxing history really. But Frank Gotch gave his recommendation as Joe Sketcher as the champion. He went into the show stuff. But like I say, Max Baer would referee wrestling matches. Jack Dempsey there. He would fight a wrestler called William Cowboy Luttrell at the end, where he would come back from retirement in his 40s to beat him in a boxing match. But again, we're going to go straight to the ratings, where I was on number 10 in the featherweight. It's going to go straight to number 11. So this is this wrestling magazine and show wrestling boxing magazine. It's ratings. So we got Lalo Guerrera from Mexico, number 11. In the featherweights, you've got 12. Danny Valdez, California, number 12 there. Lalo Guerrera from Mexico, 11. You've got Danny Kidd, number 13. Number 14, Antonio Piava from Brazil. Number 15, Kang Shu from Korea. Kang Shu from Korea. And number 16, George Bowles from England. And number 17, Frankie Taylor from England. Frankie Taylor from England. You've got 18, George Seeger from Mexico. Then 19, Yves Desmarets from France. And number 20, Baby Lewis from Mexico. 21, Mario Diaz from Mexico. 22, Alberto Certi from Italy. Number 23, Jean Ramirez from Mexico. And 24, Phil Lundgren from England. And Joe Slegra from Spain. Number 25. Then you've got Efren Jimenez from Mexico, number 26. Carlos Canet from Argentina. I might just read these names out without going for the numbers. Dennis Aji from Ghana. Lino Mastalaro from Italy. Humberto Barrera from Texas. Oscar Reyes. Tonio Aguirre from Mexico. Kitano from Spain. Julio Ruiz from Panama. Shigeo Shiyama from Japan. And 36, Johnny Famecho from Australia. Cracking little fighter. 37, Jesus Sarko from France. 38, Godfrey Stevens from Chile. Yuji Masako from Japan. Michael Atlam from France. Joe Tete from Ghana. Orlando Medina. Then you've got Hermelindro from Mondragon, Mexico. Che Prenda from Mexico. Chilo Barranco from Mexico. Oscar Diaz from Argentina. Rogilio Tolonjari. And Luis Hernandez from Mexico. Ollie Taylor from Australia. Jamie Mukund. Looks like from New Jersey there. Oh, one of my favourites. Fighting Harada. Ada Joffrey. The only man to beat Ada Joffrey ever in his career was Fighting Harada twice. So, Fighting Harada, cracking champion. Just my favourite fighter to watch. Yeah, with a few more favourite fighters there. Exciting fighter, just like Georgie Paez, or my other favourite fighters to watch, not saying they're the greatest of all time. So, Fighting Harada, Japan, number 1. Jose Medal, number 2. Jesus Pimentel from Mexico, 3. Bernardo Caballo from Colombia, number 4. Katsuo Sato from Japan, number 5. 6 is Manny Barrios from Mexico. Number 7 is Risto Rokonen from Finland. 8, Felix Brami from Tunisia. 9, Ronnie Jones. 10, Race Assis. So I'm just going to go for the names now. Ernesto Miranda, Argentina. Vincent Garcia from Mexico. Manny Alais, Arizona. Minam Ben Ali from Spain. Miguel Angel Botta from Argentina. Johnny Caldwell from Ireland. Dwight Hawkins from California. Edmundo Esparza from Mexico. Tetsuri Kawai from Japan. And Jean Para from France. Katsutoshi Ayuka from Japan. Ignacio Zerda Pina from Mexico. Rudy Corona from Mexico and Katsuo Haga from Japan. Tommaso Gouge from Italy. I might whiz through these. Yes, so Tatsura Takami from Japan. Bang, leave it there.